Hello and welcome to the first episode of the CIO series. So today I have with us Luke Sorensen, who is the CTO of ValueFlow Australia. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks very much for joining us today. I do know, even though everyone's working remote, they also are super busy. And I've spoken to a few people that are probably doing more hours than they would normally do just because office is home right now. Yes, thank you very much for joining us. What I wanted to do today is obviously just have a chat around, what you guys are doing at the moment in the tech space, but as a business as a whole with regards to the current climate that we're in right now, which is the COVID-19 climate, and how that's kind of affected you and your teams.
Yeah, okay. So for our teams, we've been a virtual organisation since day one. So for us, it's been a less of a transition, I guess, for the virtual side of things. We do have regular meetings and we do go through virtual sessions with clients and more so internally. But with the current climate, the meetings on site, the meetings with customers, they're moving into more of a virtual world. So for that, it's been getting used to, well, how do we interact in the same way with customers? So instead of being potentially on site for a few hours or a whole day, we break it down into smaller hour-long sessions, for example. Make use of more of the tools. We want a whiteboard in the room now. Putting a camera on a whiteboard hasn't worked virtually in the past. So, having a virtual whiteboard, all that sort of thing. So on the customer side, it's probably been the biggest adjustment for us at this point.
And is that because, like you say, the clients are trying to get to grips with this remote working?
Yeah, there's a bit of that. So there was a little bit of a adjustment on that, definitely adjustment on our client side. And for the most part, we had to be in a bit of a holding pattern for a week or two until they figured out how that worked, how we could interact with them through, if we continue with phone calls, turning video on. That's just the standard we've put for our organisation, is to say if we're making a call, have the video on first, especially with a customer, and see if they follow suit. So in some cases they have, in some cases that they're still a little more comfortable just staying on audio only. But the sharing screen, the virtual meetings, they're really picking up now, and it's just accepted now that this is the normal way of operation. So I think it's more the interaction with the customers. Culturally, internally, we've had a big shift in, or I would say anyway, personalities coming out. When we've met historically in the past, it's more a professional environment where either at a customer side or we've got together as an organisation. Whereas now people are playing with the backgrounds, doing internal meetings with, sometimes dressing up as a different character every day. That's one of the staff members. So I'm seeing a whole new side of personality to some of our stuff that I haven't seen before.
That's brilliant. And so on that note, when you're talking about these sorts of things like the whiteboard, the virtual whiteboard, and having meetings where you're seeing personalities, how are you as a leader for your division? How are you keeping that sort of that positive culture running at the moment? Like, are there any sort of tips that you can give us on that? And this is more from yourself as a leader.
Yeah, we've been holding more sessions as an organisation virtually, and more cross-functional than we've ever been before. So generally we'd have catch-ups per state. Now we're just putting our whole tech team together, for example. And we actually had a session last night on that where we just, myself and the CEO, as well as the whole tech team, got together. And just for an hour, we went through, how's everybody going? How are you adapting? Are there any challenges? What's changed since we've moved to this world? So we're getting some of the feedback and encouraging sort of open participation there, and just letting it evolve a little bit as it goes. But in terms of using the whiteboards or the features, we roll out, still keep using the all company session that we have every week. So we've been focusing a lot more on that side of things and saying these are what we recommend you use and do. We've also been driving how-to videos from the leadership team in particular, and that's been putting how to access files instead of tapping someone on the shoulder in the office or on a customer site to say, hey, where is this? It's more making it a little more permanent. It's been an to-do list for a while anyway, so really forced that situation. What's happened really is naturally these how-to videos are being built across the organisation, and we're trying to put the guideline of let's keep them 5 to 7 minutes. If it's a big topic, you might go out to 12 to 15, but let's keep the video short. Title the video with the problem, like how do I do this, or where do I find this? We've put it all in one how-to videos folder section, and that's the feedback I've had, at least from the people that have contacted me, is that this is really helping, and the short punchiness of what it's trying to address is really what's made a difference.
Good. And so, as you mentioned, you guys have been remote for a while and virtual for a while, so this probably might not be applicable, but I'm interested to ask the question in terms of security. So from a tech perspective, have you had to make any changes in that area at all?
Around Zoom, which is what we're on right now, in particular, that's been all over the news. There's still, there was actually an update put out this morning that I've subscribed to the blog just to make sure that we've got a view of what's going on from Zoom, because they've got a 90-day commitment. But in general, we have had to change some of the settings because of the risks that have been called out. We've followed the lead of some of our partner organisations that sent some comms out a bit earlier as well, and taken on some of their views. So it's only allow people into the meeting, not just leave it open anymore. The passwords for external meetings, and generally just giving the host the control for who you allow video, and really locking all that down. Historically, we hadn't really done that, but with the photo bombing and all that sort of thing, it hasn't happened or anything for us, luckily. But, we've taken we're not going to get off Zoom. Let's put the control back in our hands, with the inconvenience that it might be of having to individually let people in. But Zoom's hit a workload and volume that they could never have anticipated. And yes, there's security issues, but we're going with they're making actions. They've got a plan. Let's stick with it. And if something severe was to come up, I'm sure that would change perspective for everybody. But for now, we haven't had any major issues with the adjustment.
Yeah, good. And so on that note, from a tool perspective, so you guys are using Zoom. Are you using Teams at all?
Microsoft Teams, internally. So we use our internal meetings for that sort of thing, and Zoom for the external. In some customer cases, we also use Teams if they have it, but not everybody has it. That's why Zoom is the secondary, the comms mechanism.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, same as us, all right. And so apart from obviously seeing your clients go through this transition as well, have there been any major changes, any other major changes in the structure of your team or organisation, or any sort of process or procedures apart from security that we've discussed that has needed change? Or was it pretty much as it was because you guys were virtual?
We had changed structurally the number of chat channels and Teams, Microsoft Teams channels that we had. We'd actually done it prior to, as in only 2 weeks or so prior to what had happened. So we were focusing our communications into 5 or 6 different channels for primary purposes, instead of having lots of ones that we built historically over time. So what I've seen is an adjustment of a lot more company-wide communication, more than we'd ever seen, as I mentioned right at the start. But whether that's a result of the change to the environment and COVID, or it's a result of the changes we've made prior to that, it's a little hard to tell from our perspective. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you don't have to answer this, but I've got a question. What do you think your predictions are when we come out the end of this, in terms of the way businesses are running and the way businesses have been running?
I would predict that we're going to have offices again, but it's going to be less. I think there'll be less of that scenario where you have to go to work. You'll be able to work from home. To me, I think it's been a psychological barrier for a lot of people. It's been, well, the technology might be scary, or I don't know what to do. I don't want to see myself on video, but this has sort of forced that situation a bit. So that's going to change the perspective of people being a lot more comfortable to do it. We'll have reduced traffic, hopefully. Like, we'll see a lot of the benefits that come out of that. So the costs associated with the office space and that sort of thing. But just from being a virtual organisation from day one, we've also seen people come and go occasionally because the virtual environment's just not for them. There are people that want to be social and be in an office. So I think you're still going to have that, but the balance and trying to figure that out is going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, brilliant. Any other golden nuggets that you can pass on to businesses that maybe are, have not made any changes yet or about to make changes? I've actually got a couple of clients that they were on the border of being classified as essential service, but have just been told that they're not going to be classified as essential service, so they're behind on the kind of now getting everyone remote. Is there any sort of kind of golden nuggets you can give, any businesses still going through the transition on kind of what best practices?
Yeah, I would say just focus on the number of channels you have virtually, because if it's too open, you can just have lots of Microsoft Teams and lots of things going on, side chats, the information's not getting shared. So and that's something we've learnt over time and improved, is just get everything into the right buckets of the right parts of the organization so the information flows. And the second is more just keep the channels open, but allow the personality to come out, allow people to have a bit of fun, but also make sure you set the expectation, which is what we did right from the start, is be prepared to be professional at any time as well, though. You may end up on a call that you didn't think was going to go video, and then bang, it's turned into video. It's happened to probably all of us, and then we'll go, oh, we're not quite prepared, and just bear with me 1 second before I put the video on and quickly go and sort that out. So it's about making sure you're still working, right? So you still got to have that professional side, so just know your audience when you're going into the situation.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us today, Luke. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to circle back around in about 3-4 months and see where you guys are at, and see if anything's changed and how things have progressed working this way and making those changes. Yeah,
and I'd love to see where the industry is. You asked about where that heads in the next 4 months. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, listen, you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in a couple of months.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Bye.
Bye.